Hello,
Hey everyone!
Everyone watching our live stream. I hope you can see us and hear us very well. So before we start, can we please do a microphone check?
Can you hear us okay? Levels look okay on the bar graph.
Yep. Everything good with sound?
Yep,
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Alright,
Excellent.
so-
I'll take that 10 out of 10.
So welcome to the Peninsula Corridor stream. We're finally here after months of working. We've done it. You've done it, Matt. Congratulations.
The team have done it.
You and your team have done it, and
Yes.
we are here to enjoy what you've made.
Absolutely. Really glad that we've got to this point. It's been a really epic project from the team. They've worked a lot of hours to get this done and to get it to the level that it's at. And it's. I mean, I don't know. I'm obviously completely biased, but I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So I think we should fire it up and have a look.
We definitely should. And for everyone, don't forget. You should have already gotten the depending on, well, actually, regardless of the platform you're playing on, you should have already received the free Transum World 2020 update.
Yep.
So as I said, it's free for absolutely everyone. And if you decide to buy a deluxe edition, which includes Northern Transpennine, Manspesadbahn, and Long Island Railroad, then you can get this for $24.99 in the UK right now. And if you decide to upgrade for a digital deluxe edition, you will also get a Peninsula Corridor route, which we will be playing right now, but it's also available as a standalone product. So let's switch to our game screen.
I think there are a couple of issues with buying the game on Steam at the moment. We are talking to Steam to try and resolve those. Bear with us, folks. We'll get an update on that as soon as we can.
All right, we've already seen it. So now we have a beautiful digital deluxe edition background, and we are in the Peninsula Corridor route. So, do we want to go through any of these? I suppose we could have a quick
look at the journey
at
that's there,
journeys.
so we can show what there is. So the first chapter is about the F40PH. You've got the tutorial, a couple of scenarios, and some services. Then the second, and those services are actually all different stopping patterns. So a 200 series service is a limited stop, a 100 is a local. And some of them have more stops in the north of the route, some of them have more stops in the south. So they all look the same journey, but they're actually all different stopping patterns, so it's quite interesting. Chapter 2, you're in the cab car. And then Chapter 3, you are a freight engineer, and you're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with freight, including unloading wagons, switching, and hauling up and down the line.
Yep. We've got
Selection scenarios.
5 scenarios in here. Based around all of the lockers that are present in the DLC, but what we're actually going to be doing is we're just going to be playing a simple service this time. Actually, 2. We're going to go southbound from San Francisco towards San Jose, stop about halfway, switch on the F40, then we're going to switch into the cab car and go all the way back from about the middle of the route. But let's go ahead. So we shall go with Spring Cloudy as requested. And we're gonna pick one that is during sort of a peak time on this route. Is it almost peak time
at this point? We're probably a bit before peak time, but that's fine. We'll see plenty of trains.
Yeah, so this is the route map. I'm gonna have a better look at it when we actually load up the game.
MH Armless, clean and tidy is bugged. Once you take control of the cab car engine, you can't accelerate. That probably means you've not completed the shutdown procedure correctly or the startup procedure correctly. That's one of my favourite scenarios to play, so I know that one works. But I'll be probably running it on my stream later on, so
right.
We'll have a look.
Let us know, guys, if there are any issues with game sound, if it's too loud or anything like that, because it might be quite loud. So Matt, could you tell us a little bit about the route?
So you're in San Francisco Station at the moment. One of the things that's really defining about this route is there's so many trains are stabled in San Francisco. So during at most time points in the day, San Francisco is filled with trains, and you're going to see quite a lot there. As you come out of San Francisco, it's fairly low speed limit until you come around the corner, and then the speed limit starts to increase. And proceed your way down past South San Francisco. South San Francisco is where the aggregate unloader is. So you'll be unloading. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you unload it onto a conveyor belt and then shoots it off into the yard there. And then you continue down until you get to stations like Millbrae. You'll be following the Bay Area Rapid Transport for a little while. There's no trains actually running on that line, but you'll be able to see it for certain. And continue down. You go past the Santa Clara depot, what they call the CMOF. Which is where the main Caltrain depot is. That looks superb. The team have captured that amazingly well. And ultimately you then end up in San Jose Station. So there's another thing that's really cool here actually, if you want to just do that external view again, is the background of San Francisco. The team have been trying some new techniques, and you'll notice that looks quite a little more present and big than was achieved on the New York route. So there's some new techniques being used to see if we can't up the graphical realism and detail for some of these areas.
Yeah, I've just reduced the volume a little bit in the game to let us know if it's any better. I'm going to do a little bit more. But
if
do
you
let us know.
Scroll down a bit so that you can see the volume, so that's where we're speaking. So if you put the game volume about 30, that'll do.
There we go.
And there's a difference between us now. Hopefully you can hear us all now. Let's see what it's like back in the cab.
Sure, just 1 second.
Okay.
Just wanted to make our game a little bit quieter. So yeah, let's walk through the cab, I suppose, a little bit.
Yeah, so you're in an F40PH locomotive. It's a really interesting train to drive, a locomotive to drive. The main difference is this blended. It's got manually lapped brakes. So if you're familiar with Northern Transpennine or TVL, Tees Valley, think of the Class 101. So it's manually lapped brakes, which we'll go through as we run here. And it's also got automatic blended braking. So as you slow down, it'll actually catch you by surprise if you're not aware of it. So you'll be slowing down, you'll apply a normal brake, air brake set as you would normally, and you'll think, right, I finally got the hang of the manual lap. And then a few seconds after, you're sort of, as you're slowing down, you'll see the brake cylinder needle start going down. And what it means actually, and you hear the engine rev up, and it's because the dynamic brakes are being brought in and then taking the pressure off of the air brakes on the locomotive. They remain on the coaches, and actually it all works really well, but it catches you off guard. So we'll cover that as we make some of the station stops going on here. Basic functionality is pretty similar to a lot of trains that you'll be familiar with in the United States, so there shouldn't be too many surprises there. You've got a speedometer at the top, and under the bottom at the bottom of the speedometer there is a little twiddly knob which will let you change the brightness of that, in case you want to turn that up.
Hey folks, sorry to interrupt the stream. Just to let you know, the Steam issue should be fixed.
Steam issue for buying the game should be fixed. So
thanks, Martin.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Let us know if that issue persists for you. Otherwise, go have at it.
Yeah, we just had an update, so yeah, seems to be fixed. I think I've seen quite a lot of people having this problem, but we knew it was fixable. So good on that. So what else? Did I forget anything at all? I don't think I have. So this camera is moving all around. I don't think I forgot.
Red light at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favour and stand up and sit down again? There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a couple of minutes while red light clears.
So that's there's a couple of audio occlusion issues that so there's been vast improvements in 2020 in the handling of audio occlusion, but there's still a couple more fixes the team are working on, so that'll hopefully come in future updates.
Exactly.
We've had a couple of people confirming they now are able to purchase, so awesome. Thanks for letting us know. Right, you got your light now.
Yeah, just to warn everyone, I'm not very good with this locomotive. I'll try my best, but I'm sorry if there are any issues.
Why does the sound do that in the cab? So that's audio occlusion, Inigo. It's difficult to explain, and I'll probably get it wrong because I don't understand it 100% myself. But I do know the engineering team have been working on it hard, and they got about 3/4 of their fixes in, but there's more to do. And then there'll be authoring work from the content teams to go with it. So.
Yeah,
why is the signal grey? JBreeze, why is the signal grey? So that's because show next aspect has been turned off in the settings, which means that you have to figure out what the aspect is yourself. By default, that setting is turned on and you'll get the colour. You might want to turn on the next aspect unless you particularly want it off.
Yeah, guys, shoot any questions you have, go on, because I'll be a little bit focused on the driving, so make sure you ask whatever you want from Matt.
Fire off your questions, folks. There's no timetable's been added to routes in the manuals yet. We're trying to come up with a way of automatically generating those, because they were just taking up far too much time to create. Once we get an automatic process, then we'll be in a much better place for that. How long is the Route 82 Steam? It's around 50 miles. So it is the longest route on console. It's the second longest route on PC.
It does take about 1.5 hours to go from one end to another.
Yeah, if you run one of the 100 services, the local services, they stop at every blade of grass just about. Those ones are going to be about an hour and 45 minutes or so. If you're on one of the 200 services, they're going to be about an hour and a half. Those are the limited stops. And the 300 services are the bullet services. They stop about 4 times. I think they're more like an hour and 15. Can we get a sound of the horn?
Well, you will throughout the whole route. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so we're leaving the slower speed zone, entering the zone where we'll be able to speed up a little bit. I think it goes up to 79 miles per hour in here.
Mm-hmm. Do the train numbers on the side of the cab work? They do indeed, Thelodius. If you just pop outside for me, Dimitri, and just focus in on what the mirrors on the side. So you'll notice that one's actually showing 5.4 because we're running 254. Now the mirrors are folded in on intentionally because the game doesn't do mirrors due to reflection issues. But the destinations are all set correctly.
Let's check. Next station, San Bruno at 14:59. Thanks to the handy T hotkey option.
Is there any in-game sound? Are you not hearing the sound, Speedbird? Maybe let's pump up the sound a little bit on the game, because since after we reset things, I think it made it go quiet. Right, can you hear the sound a bit better now? I can hear it on my headphones. But then my headphones are pink, so they're awesome.
Any better?
Lander, will journey mode be added to the previous routes? There's nothing announced about that yet. It's something that's being looked into. The issue with the zeros numbers on the HST InstaSim, that's known. We did start looking at that for the 2020 update, but it seems to be a little bit more to it. So we are looking into. We have a task to go and look at that and find out what's actually going wrong. Jay Breeze, you love the headphones? Awesome. What are some good spots to get high-speed Caltrain action? Towards the middle of the route, really. You want to be some, Millbrae's a nice place to go, because you're in the sort of the 79 section, if I remember rightly there. Probably turn the cab light off.
Didn't even notice.
Will there be potential in the future to build the later locomotives and carriages? So you mean the MP36 PH and the Bombardier higher bi-level cars, Alex? Would certainly like to do those, and just keep an eye on future announcements for that, I guess.
There's your cab window.
I love the shape of this cab. It's where it's all pointed on the window.
You can see absolutely everything.
Yeah, it just looks so different. Is there a complete My collection for TSW 2020? No, there isn't, Elton. Any plans on adding steam engines, Shane? At some point, would definitely like to do that, but no plans at the moment.
Any sound is low. I'm gonna try again, guys, but there's only so much we can do about the sound. Should be a little bit better now.
6.9 miles to San Bruno.
Yeah, whereas this one is express, so we would have had a couple of stops already by this time if this was a full service.
Ensor, does freight use the whole route or a shorter section off the main line? So the dockyard area is not included. So freight will start and stop on a spur on the side of the main line. And then there's 2 or 3 yards siding areas up and down the line. How frequently do trains run in one direction on the free mode service, Cincy Bus? So it's based on the full timetable. So if you go ahead and download the real timetable, you should find it similar to that, at least in terms of service start times. Every service is in there, including the Baby Bullet services. Ewan Spence, is there a brief intro to the signalling 3 lights on the gantry? Used to British signals, but is there a Caltrain guide? There is a manual which includes a quite detailed section on the Caltrain signalling, which will cover off what you need to know. So the
Yep.
Caltrain signalling is different to some of them because it's actually combines route signalling and speed signalling into one system. The aspects, or sometimes an aspect will be because you've got a reduced speed, sometimes it's because you've got different journeys or you've got trains in front of you. So it's worth having that manual, print it out or have it on another monitor or something beside you, and read through that. Once you get the hang of it, it's not as hard as it sounds, but there is definitely stuff to learn there. Baked Bean Kid, the manual was never intended for you, mate. That's fine. There's no in-cab signalling yet on the Caltrain. You see the screen in front of you. I believe that's where PTC is actually going to be, but they're still in the process of getting the installation in. If you compare this one actually with the F40PH that's in Train Simulator 2019, one of the key things you'll notice that's different in the left-hand side behind the engineer, or behind the conductor actually, there's a big rack of computer equipment and so forth there on this model that isn't there in the earlier version. And I believe again that's related to PTC in the process of being installed, but it's not active yet. There is the alerter though, yes, Shauza, there is the alerter. There's no plans to add PTC at this point in a later update, but that'd be something to look at for the future 822. Like I said, in reality it's not there yet. So we have no idea how it works exactly. Union Pacific hype. Those are the new 2-bay hoppers. No, I haven't had a chance to look at that yet, A22. Is GSW coming to mobile? No plans at the moment. The uniform for this route looks very similar to the one used on the other US passenger routes, because they generally have sort of a smart casual uniform that's not particularly logoed, and there's no particular colour scheme for the drivers. It's generally passenger facing staff like the conductor that have the particular uniforms on. There's no defect detectors on the route, no VIA rail van. Has been a request to show a bit more from the outside of the train as well as the inside.
Sure. We'll stop and then we'll do.
Yeah. Keeny Boy on Mixer, is 2020 just an update? You already have the original, so you'll get the things like the new user interface, colour scheme, and the action points, journeys, all that stuff. That'll all be downloaded free of charge as part of the free update. If you want Caltrain or you want the routes that are part of 2020 that you don't already have, then you'll have to buy those. So you can see the dynamic brake has kicked in now, and as we slow down, the ampage, as the ammeter comes back up, so the brake cylinder you can see is slowly rising. This is how the blended brake system works. It's very clever. Will joystick support ever come to TSW? Hopefully at some point there'll be external hardware support. TGH, there's nothing to announce on that front at the moment. Something I'd like to see personally. How many scenarios on this route? There are 5 scenarios on the route. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's like, and then the coaches as well. The Nippon Sharyo gallery cars are beautiful as well. Less so inside, but that's how they look like real. They're just kind of, they've got a really odd look internally. We'll look at those later on because the second service we're going to run is the cab car service, so you can have a look at that and listen to what that's like. You're enjoying it, are you, Schnauzer Powers? That's really good to hear. Thank you. We'll show you inside the carriages in the second service, Jamie, because that's going to be done in the cab car, so we'll have to use the carriages then. There's stairways in the carriages to get upstairs, Evie.
Next station is very exciting.
Millbrae.
It is this one that really reminded me of Jamaica.
Yeah.
I thought, what is it?
It's like a mini Jamaica, about half the size. Any chance to be a 700 in the game? At some point, probably most classes will be added to the game. I would guess LNER trains, but there's no plans to talk about at the moment.
Mm.
It's alright. Oh no, it's woke up. Our chat system went to sleep. No, it's gone again.
No?
No. Not to do with this, but have you thought about bringing Train Simulator to console? But for TSW, done a great job. So bringing a Train Simulator console is what Train Sim World, one of the jobs of Train Sim World was to create a Train Simulator that would run on consoles. Train Simulator is designed for the PC, and I don't think there'd be any way of getting that running on a console. You want sprinters and pacers, Cole? I agree. Tyler, hopper. The 2-bay hoppers are the new freight car, and then there's also the centre beams that are in use as well. Those are the only two that are in there. So you know why the speed limit is 79 miles per hour, not 80 miles per hour? It's due to regulations. So for trains to run at 80 miles an hour or above, that's where they need PTC. They need in-cab signalling. And since these don't, they can only run up to a maximum of 79 miles an hour. Once you've stopped, I need a scroll. The chat has died again.
Sorry, very important. You can go into lab with the hotkey, don't you?
No.
No?
No, I don't think so. That's on the 101.
Working now?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just see if I've missed it. The chat keeps freezing on our side, folks, so if I'm missing questions, just keep me asking them. Best way to use the lap on the brakes. So essentially, the braking system on this train is really interesting. You've got, do you want to go back in the cab a minute? So on the brake handle, you've got a number of different states. So you've got release, obviously, at one end. The next state, I believe, is holding.
It's release, holding, lap, and service.
Yeah, so release, then handle off an emergency. So when you're running, obviously you're going to be in release. Then when you want to slow down, you want to move it into lap, and then what you do is move it into service, and then move it back into lap when you've got enough brake on the brake cylinder. So if you pop back into the cab, if you look at this left-hand gauge, the right-hand gauge, that gauge, the red needle is the brake cylinder. So that's currently showing about 42 pounds at the moment. When you release the brakes, what you'll see is that comes off. Now what Dimitri's just done is he's put it in the holding state. And what that does is it uses an electropneumatic system which communicates along the train, tells it to release all of that, let the brake pipe come back up to maximum without releasing the brake. So it's a hold set which holds the brakes on, so the brakes are still applied, but lets the brake pipe come up back up so it recharges it, which gives you a nice fast release. So when you're departing from a station, generally once you start closing the doors, I'd bring it back into holding, let the brake pipe come up. Once the doors are finished closing, pull it into release, and then the brakes will come off nice and quick. Now you'll notice at the moment the brake cylinder is showing a £0, which means they're off and we're running free. So when you want to apply the brakes, you go into the lap and you'll see that the red needle starts going up. When you get to where you want, let's say 20 psi, you then put it back into lap and it will hold it around about the same place where you've done it. And that will then give you a nice gradual deceleration. If you need more deceleration, you put it back into service and then back into lap when you've got a bit more. And then if you want to release the brakes, you just move it back into release. So yeah, I mean all the dynamic brake stuff, you can manually control the dynamics, but it is also automatically blended in as well. So you don't have to worry too much about that.
Yeah. Don't freak out when you hear the engine actually running.
Yes.
When you're braking, because that's what I felt. What the hell is going on here?
Couldn't they make the brakes even more complicated? To be honest, Baked Bean Kid, it's no different to the way it works in the older UK trains. It's just a standard manually lapped braking system.
And by the way, I'm late because we are showing you all these things inside the loco, not because I'm a bad engineer. Maybe.
Everyone's saying Dimitri's learning from Matt and blaming chat.
Yeah.
If it's true, it's true, you know. Why they call lapped? I actually don't know the reason for that. I know the process and what the difference is, but I don't know why the word lapped in particular. It's because it's the process of managing the brakes is lapping, and self-lapping brakes are the ones that you'd use in more modern trains. Manually lapping trains are the old ones. Lapping is the process of balancing the equalising reservoir with the brake pipe, but there's probably an actual mechanical or pneumatic thing in there. Are you guys reading comments from Twitch or Steam? I'm getting Twitch comments, but like I say, the chat keeps freezing. So if I miss anything, then just ask again. I'm not actually seeing Steam comments on this. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with our integrated chat system.
We do have mods on each of those platforms, though.
So someone should be answering the questions. Chicago racetrack. Yeah, that's a really interesting route as well, Ronick. There's no plans at the moment for it, but it's an interesting route. Special rolling stock patinary maintenance. Any plans to make something like this? Not at the moment, Rail Alex, but it's an interesting idea. Put a proposal together on the suggestions forum if it's something that you think should be done. You know, and sort of say what sort of equipment and what you'd like to do with that equipment. And Moggy, yes, we can see Mixer chat. I think the only one we can't see is Steam, to be honest. If you already own TSW on Steam, how do you get the routes that come in TSW 2020 for $24.99? You just buy it. That's just been fixed actually a few minutes ago. So you should just be able to buy TSW 2020 again, essentially buy TSW for $24.99, and then it'll add those routes into your installation. Sorry, Moggy, were you saying something? I need another move. The chat has stopped again. This is a really interesting tool. By the way, as a driving style, the Caltrain engineers, when they depart from the station, just put it straight in run 8. So someone said to me before the stream, "Oh, in order to make the timetable," it might have been you actually, Dimitri. In order to make the timetable, you've got to absolutely thrash it into run 8 straight away. That's what they do. They want to hear the horn on the outside. Maybe about the. Station announcements and radio chatter. At some point, I imagine those kinds of things will come in. There's nothing that I can talk about any in detail at the moment. Moggy has a special request. He'd like to see the wipers running because he absolutely loves it.
Oh wait, I was driving with Bell on all this time.
Ditch light flash. Yes, there is a button which you can use that will start the ditch light flash going. Will we ever have it to where gates come up and down, where engineers have to pay attention to depart the station, make sure they go down? I'd love to get that, Miguel. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the scenery in here. Oh my god. This route is absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah, the route environment team have really outdone themselves.
Next level. I think I approached a little bit too fast.
If in doubt, drop the anchors.
Yeah, these brakes are very strong. Aren't they?
Yep. Well, if you do a full application, yeah, very.
I think we're gonna go to next station and switch after that.
Excellent. What are ditch lights designed for? So the lights on the front, so if you pop outside the front of the loco, the two lights on the front towards the bottom, those are ditch lights. And what happens is they point down,
See?
like this, down into the ditches, strangely enough. And the idea is to light up a wider area of the track, make the train visible from a wider range of angles. If you are then you're coming up to a crossing, you want to make the train more visible. You activate crossing lights, which is using the same lights, but it makes them flash, and it makes them flash like this. It's an alternating flash. The timetable is not 100% accurate. It's based on the Caltrain timetable. All of the services are there. The start times are roughly there, but the actual intermediate times it may vary a bit. Mr. Evans Gamer, what is my favourite American locomotive and why? Do you mean generally speaking, or do you mean in the game so far? I think it's the cab window open. You can stand up and sit down. There you go. And this is gone again. Services to stop at Broadway and Atherton. I don't remember off the top of my head. Traffic system will develop, Beaker, as we go. We've got traffic now, and as we do more, we can then change what traffic appears when it appears, but we can't do that just yet. That'll be sort of for future updates. Is this an updated in-game engine or the same as... So the Unreal version hasn't changed, if that's what you're asking, Taze. Mr. Average Gamer, both. Out of all the American locos that are currently in the game, the F40PH, or possibly the cab car actually, are probably my tying for my new favourite, to be honest. In reality, I don't know, I quite like smallish things like the GP38, GP20, things like that I quite like. I don't have as much of an interest in massive great locos, whereas I think little workhorses are sort of where I'm generally interested. How long ago did you decide you wanted to make this route the next US DLC? A long time ago. Probably around about the time that we did the Long Island. We thought probably Caltrain would be a good one to do next. We're trying to think 2 or 3 routes ahead all the time. Are the cab car and loco interchangeable? So Beaker, services on the Caltrain route are always southbound with the loco, northbound with the cab car, just like in reality.
What's my favorite locomotive in general in the game? Actually, I don't know. In the game, probably something from German, so maybe 185. Overall, I kind of like Freight American. Honestly, I think it's really cool the way they move with very long consists through these, insane grades through forests of the US. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I don't know, just feel like this raw power when I see them. Right, we were supposed to stop here, weren't we? So where we are right now?
Ozark, copyright and licensing and all sorts of things like that, where Japanese routes start to get more tricky.
Yeah, we're gonna stop here because we do want to show you a little bit of the cab car as well. Yep. From our way back from San Jose actually. So we'll have a quick glance on the Caltrain depot as well. Depot.
Yeah, we'll be running past the Seamoth. And we'll also show you the interior of the carriage, yeah.
Yeah. There's some things to see there as well. Where was the one that we were looking for? I think it was this one, yeah.
Why is the signal always grey? Because we've got show next signal aspect turned off Chi-Town sooner. It's a difficulty setting that you can operate in the settings. You can turn that on or off as per your taste. We've got it turned off, which means that you need to remember what the aspect is. You just know where the signal will be.
Right, so I'm going to climb out first. Out of this.
It really is tiny in there. It absolutely is tiny. In fact, the staircase is so tight. We can't actually make it to where the player character can just walk up and down it. You have to use a ladder, so you press the E key to go up and down. Put key in.
Oh yeah, key, right. Close, open.
You want open right.
That worked. So here we are, San Jose. This is the cab car. I think it looks brilliant. Wish I could climb.
It's something, isn't it, when you say, I wish I could, and you can.
Yeah, let's go back.
Oh, you need to turn the key, apparently.
Oh, really?
It's like on the Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Now you can do open right.
Close, you mean?
Caution, the doors are about to close.
Oh, come on. Let's climb the steps. So yeah, this is this very tiny area for the driver or engineer. But I think you mentioned, Matt, that the controls are actually quite similar.
They're almost identical to their 40ph. Some of the buttons and switches are in different places, but things like the lapped brakes are identical. The throttle and so forth are all fairly standard control stands.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with this one. I think, what was it, crossing lights?
You want the crossing lights on, yeah, and the headlights.
We want headlights, so default.
Which is this one over here.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll just put it to medium. Yeah, I think there were some buttons in here, but
Cab car doesn't have an alerter, Harry O'Deslayer. Believe it or not, the cab car only has a dead man's, which isn't implemented because it's not very useful. But yeah, we were surprised as well. But there is no alerter in the cab car. There is an alerter in the F40, but not in the cab car.
right, Santa Clara. Hope I didn't forget anything. And does it look like all the lights are on?
Cut your brakes in. Your brakes are cut out still.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Where is this button?
On the right hand side where the brakes are.
Right, yeah.
That's it.
Where the brakes are, of course.
There we go. So this is a bit different experience because there's a lag you can't hear. You can hear the engine revving up when you're in the other end, but you can't hear. So you kind of have to take on faith that everything is working. But you'll find you get more running sounds. As she speeds up, you're going to hear the wind whistling through. These things have got no insulation at all.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel comfortable sitting in this thing.
There's a sort of AWS PCB, just the alerter DT. There's no on-train safety systems. I believe you have a red.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jayesh. Much appreciated.
This is yellow now?
Yep.
No, it's fun. It's just. Yeah, I keep forgetting there's a small lag between your locomotive and the cab car, so it doesn't accelerate straight away, unlike the locomotive itself.
Thank you, Geeky Cowboy. Don't be silly, mate, being kid.
This is not
Red
for
lights
us?
shouldn't be stopped at. That's just crazy talk.
Is this for us? No.
No, that one on there
Yep.
isn't. Ewan, so as you're missing 3 routes from the 2020 package, yes, it'd definitely be cheaper than for you to buy the bundle deal, because $24.99 is the cost of 1 route at its normal price. So we've got the Caltrain Seamoth depot coming up ahead. There's no interoperability between the CSX trains and the Union Pacific trains in either direction, Mr. Average Gamer. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that some systems have been upgraded on the Union Pacific GP38 that actually render them incompatible with the way that they're done on the CSX trains. So that's something we need to figure a way out of doing properly going forwards. But rather than continue them being not as good as they could be, we thought we'd get the Union Pacific one working better.
So this one gets the bells activated automatically when you hold, right?
Yeah. We're
That's
doing
handy.
service mode at the moment, limited edition. Raptor Engineer, we're always seeking new licenses with railroad companies. Neither of those are yours.
Thank God. In this one.
We've got a yellow, red, red coming up. Yeah, the bell valve actually auto releases. If you look down at the bell valve, if you press the horn now, you can see the bell valve pops out. Yes, you can then, when you press the B key, to push it back in again. We have more train-to-train meets, so I mean, just one journey running up this line, you'll see numerous trains coming in the other direction. We get the horn from the outside.
I'll scroll it in a second.
So I'm just catching up. Chat keeps freezing again. I need another update.
Wait, where are all the gauges? These there, yeah?
Yeah.
What did you just say before that?
When you've stopped, I need an update on the chat.
Yeah. Sorry.
There we go. I don't think we'll be able to show the freight tonight, Jacob. We'll, have,
No.
we'll see. We're tight on time, but you've seen it. As we showed. We went past it earlier on with the Union Pacific GP38. Any service where you move stuff around the yard. So there are services with moving trains into and out of the depot. Yes. How do you get medals? How do you get all the medals? Basically, get the best scores when you run each service and scenario. It is quite peaceful but you'll find actually when you get to play it, you'll find there's quite a lot of rattling going on, particularly when you get up to speed. What we're looking at for our next stop, 3.5. So yeah, we should be able to get up to full speed, particularly with that whistling of the wind.
Yeah, we seem to be going by the timetable.
Transfer extension or rolling stock add-on Schnauzer, who knows what the future holds. I would certainly like us to do the MP36 train at some point, but there's no plans to talk about there yet. Can you change from metric to imperial in the options? Yes, you can. We're on the correct one for this route, but it's not an automatic setting, not yet anyway. But yeah, you can go into settings and change the speed, the distances, temperatures, gradients. Have got separate settings.
Have you looked into doing it automatically?
It is on the team's to-do list. Definitely. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to get it done for 2020.
Well, it's not that big of a feature, so I mean, it would be handy.
A lot of people asking for it. Is there a max score per drive? So every scenario, every service has a theoretical maximum score, and we've written something to try and calculate what that theoretical maximum score is for all of that. So if you're driving 10 metres down the track, or you're taking a loco from Santa Clara into the Seamoth depot, you're not going to get much score for that because you aren't doing very much. It takes about 10 minutes and that's fine. Whereas if you're doing a load of passenger stops and you're running up the line for an hour and 45 minutes, that's going to give you a bigger score because you did more for it. But each one has a maximum in theory that you can get. If I remember rightly, the medals are normally set up as being bronze is 50% of the maximum, silver is 75% of the maximum, and gold is 90% of the maximum. Anyone having problems with the game crashing, please drop a support ticket in and provide as much information as possible, including your platform that you're using, which whether it's console or PC, and what route content you've got. Provide as much information as possible, and the guys there will help you out. Did the people who designed this car have any awareness of aerodynamics? No, I don't think so.
They didn't know such things in the 70s or 80s?
These are 1987, I think, remember rightly. They run, Caltrain have got two different types of these cars. They've got the 1987, and I think the other ones are the 2000s. The 2000 ones have got different desks with a more modern control stand. But these are the older ones, the 1987s. But externally, they're identical.
Yeah, obviously, if it was at least in the 90s, they could just look it up on the internet.
Sorry?
Nothing. Just a silly joke. Will you add Russian trains in the future, Matt?
I would love to add Russian trains. They look awesome.
Do you know any Russian trains?
No, not by number. I know some of the from looks of it. As I'm on a couple of Facebook groups where specifically they talk about Russian trains, the amount of content that's being made. These things just look awesome. It's so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it, and the best route I guess you could go with for TSW is Moscow St. Petersburg high-speed Sapsan, it's called, because it's the most famous one. But it's 800 kilometers.
Well, good luck with that. Let me know how you get on.
That's the problem. You can do you want to do so many, but oh my god, that's absolutely horrible. Look at that.
We just get a round of applause for that stop, folks.
Look at all these poor people coming out of this train. Although you can hop right into your car if it's quite convenient.
Hop over the fence into your car, yeah.
Into your car.
People talking about all sorts of content, new routes, potential like that. I mean, the short answer is we're always looking at new content, new routes. It's always a cool idea to look at new countries, but there's a significant investment in going into a new country, there's lots of stuff being looked at all the time. The short answer is have you thought of X route is probably yes, because we do listen to what you guys are all saying on the forums, as well as having a bunch of RAL fans in the company that are all saying, ooh, make my favourite route. Mostly me. Everyone just says, shut up, sit down. Train, yes, you need to learn how to use the brakes. They're quite useful on a train. Has anything we've seen at TSW originate in the suggestions forum? There's probably been some overlap in there. I mean, Long Island was posted in there for a long time, and we eventually we got to that one. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry?
Tees Valley as well has been there for a while, I think.
Yeah, actually, I remember someone posting about Tees Valley. It was one of your suggestions, wasn't it, Ayrton? Has Dimitri found the attendant to call button? Yeah, press the attendant to call button. It's down on the left-hand stand. Yeah, attendant to call, there it is. There you go. These are important features. I think the other one does work, the communication one.
I mean, these two buttons work, but toilets still don't work.
Exactly. These two buttons are more important than toilets. See you later, Geeky Cowboy. Can you add features to the game? Yeah, absolutely, Raptor Engineer. There's a long list of things that need to be added. You can't have toilets, EVOs. You can't have toilets. Are there any US freight missions? So there's 2 scenarios, I think, with the GP38 diesel, and I think 10 or more services with the GP38. Is that the call to remove the used bottle or bucket? Thanks for the raising the tone there, Fab Diva. Where do I see TSW in 3 years? Being even more awesome. But no, there's a big complicated answer to that I can't really share at the moment. But being more awesome, I think, is probably going to have to where I leave it.
Almost. Let's fly around this station a little bit. This is Sunnyvale, isn't it? That's quite a unique structure. Yeah. Is it unique?
Oh, very cool, yeah. How do you enable auto brakes on PS4? Use the X button to switch between the braking system, and that'll enable between auto, dynamic and independent brakes. Can you look out the front window as a passenger? No, I don't think you can, because you're inside. You'll be behind a locked door here.
Final half an hour, guys. So if you have questions, shoot. There will not be. I don't know exactly when, but there will not be a stream for some time. And let us know what you think. Do you enjoy the changes in the base game, in the core game, and of 2020? Because this is quite important, you know. Eventually there will be another version, so you know we'll take everything on board.
Yeah, jump on the forums and you know, join the conversation. Let's have a listen and see what you think.
I'm not saying it's last stream for a while. I'm not entirely sure.
It's more that we don't know when the next stream is.
Yeah, we just don't. just really love approaching these crossings with my horn all the time. It feels so American when I'm doing it. I do love the horn, yeah.
Shipwright is manual lapping brake stand. It's 26EL, I think it is. Can't remember if that's quite exactly the right number. Ed will tell me. Yeah, it's a manually lap brake stand on both ends, the F40PH and this. And the F40's got dynamic braking as well, blended dynamic braking. Well, hopefully, Dex. See you later, Gouger. What's the correct horn for crossings on this route? Long, long, short, long. Yeah, rule 14 out.
What?
When you're approaching a crossing, you should do a long, a long, a short, a long, and then the last long runs over the crossing. Essentially,
Right.
that's what a rule 14L is.
Okay, is it Caltrain specific rule?
No, it's FRA. That's across the entire of America.
Okay, I'll learn it. So I'm just randomly smashing the horn, you were saying?
You've got. If you look up Rule 14, Rule 14 is, I think, Rule 14. I can't remember what the letters are. I think is a single horn blast when you start moving. No, 2 horn blasts when you start moving. 3 when you go backwards. 3 short blasts when you go backwards. 1 long blast when you're coming to a stop. And long, long, short, long when you're coming up to a crossing. And then there's other ones.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
2 to get going, 1 to stop, 3 to go backwards.
2 to get going, 3 to stop, 1 to go backwards.
No.
What?
2 forwards, 3 backwards, 1 stop.
Okay, so, but you just okay. So, but on the crossing it has to be 5, like
Long, long, short, long is 4.
4.
Yeah, if you look up rule FRA Rule 14 B9 bot.
So 1.
2. The only time you don't do that normally is if you're in a quiet zone or if you are underground, like in Grand Central Terminal or New York Penn. They really don't like it when you blow your horn in there.
I did see a petition from 2017 on Caltrain where they asked for drivers to use horn less or make them quiet.
Yep. Yeah, I think at quiet zones it's just the bell, no horn at all.
Okay. But the bell is cool.
How to turn the wiper on? You can either press the V key, or you can operate the control, or you can even get hold of the lever and manually operate it. If you're having any crashing or any other bugs like that, folks, please can you make sure you raise a support ticket and let the team get your assistance. I've had one person I was speaking to on the Train Sim Community Discord earlier on was having a problem with their Xbox because crashing after the update. They uninstalled the game and reinstalled it, and that fixed it for them. So I don't know what was causing the crash, but the reinstall fixed it for them. So if that's useful, let us know in the support ticket. Even if you fix it, let us know what the problem was and what you did to fix it, because clearly it shouldn't be crashing.
Yeah, the more reports we get, especially if it's exactly similar issue, the easier it is for us to investigate.
Yeah, Danny Beast, I don't know what your question is. I've got the chat's flying up the screen, so if you want to ask again, I will try and see your question.
So I just did it. So long, long, short, long.
Go again.
Well, I just did it. So
Oh.
we're not really crossing anymore. No, so it's cool. So it's not you just. I mean, I thought you just randomly smacked. Oh my god! Please stop.
Oh dear.
I can't believe. I'm not reading the chat. So you're saying that might have to go all the way back because I've completely overshot the station.
Yeah, you completely overshot the station. That was an absolute fail.
Is that why there's even the our chat froze and not showing anything? Because I think it's just because of the pure volume of the messages. Actually, might be why it's happening. Okay, at least we can see the Twitch chat.
Yeah, we can see the Twitch chat, and it's going fail, fail, fail. Right, our chat's back up again, folks. Danny, if you replied while I was while the chat had died there, can you ask a question again, please? Or can a moderator over there post it for me?
It's okay. We'll just go backwards.
Just make sure you're not coming up 20 seconds.
Nah,
Oh,
it's
you're
fine.
alright.
We're good.
You're all right. What do you mean, adds Matt is P45 sprinter? It wasn't me. Was it? It wasn't me. Harsh.
Thank God it's not a real life. Just a game.
Reversing is normally against the rules, yes. You'd have to stop, then take advice from the signaller. Either the signaller would say proceed to the next station, or they might clear you back manually into the station again.
With passengers.
Does the EMU on Rapid Transit have destination boards? No. No, it doesn't. The 442 hasn't seen any changes, other than maybe some bug fixes, I can't remember. But it certainly hasn't got destination boards yet, no. How do you mean they've changed the controls, Marstone? Up is down, down is up. What do you mean? But I'm Dimitri's driving instructor, so I get the blame. Oh, okay. I can't argue with that, I guess.
Oh, I have no words. I mean,
Go forwards, not backwards, though.
it was all planned.
It was just testing to see if I was watching, yeah?
We seem to be still on time, though. Kind of. We're only 2 minutes away from the next station.
I think you may have inverted the controls, it asks. Yes, you can change that actually in settings, so you can press escape for me. Go
can.
into settings, and under the game controls, next one along, there is camera. There is the camera invert y-axis. If you if you set that to on or off, it will change down to up and up to down. So if you're finding that your ups and downs are mixed up, then use that one to set them back again. Can you cold start these trains? Yeah, the shutdown and startup procedures, Mr. Average Gamer. I don't think any of the services or scenarios actually use that. I'm trying to think. They might. One of them might use the startup procedure.
No, listen, man. No, too long. I think this last one.
Needs more practice. The long is quite long, so it's like on, off, on, off, and it takes practice. I still don't get it right, to be honest. When my chat is usually really tolerant and happy and friendly, and they don't take the mickey out of me for getting it wrong at all.
And when approaching, just one?
Just about.
So,
Just about. Any word on editor Bugalan? No, not at the moment. Does DSW support single track routes? Yeah, West Somerset is a single track route. There is a signal guide in the manual, Dappies, yes, quite an extensive guide to Caltrain signalling. Diesel, are there any US freight missions in the game without buying the Peninsula route? No, because the only US route in there is Long Island, which has no freight component. If you get Digital Deluxe, obviously, then you get Peninsula, and that does have freight. If you're on PC, then you get Sam Patch Grade. If you've got PC, Sam Patch Grade is in there, which is the Cumberland to Rockwood CSX, which is quite extensive freight operations. But if you're on console, that's not on there.
Why do you hate the bells so much? They're off. They were off.
The doors are about to close.
Can we see a train run by from the outside? So get up a bit of speed and then let's have a listen to watch the train run by.
Train run by. Another
Press,
train.
use the 8 camera. Fly the train on along the line a little bit. At the moment, Zipper, the journeys are only present for Sam Patch Grade, Great Western, Long Island, Main Specified, Northern Transpennine and Peninsula Corridor, which is all of the stuff that's in the TSW 2020 and Digital Deluxe editions. We're looking at what we can do for journeys on the other routes in the future.
Can you hear anything?
Yeah. Why does PC get an exclusive route? So Sam Patch Grade does not work on consoles. It's purely down to that Win Zero. It was the very first route made for Train Sim World before consoles were actually supported in the game. And yeah, it doesn't work on consoles. Is it possible to make monorail or maglev or something else routes in TSW? I don't see why not. They're generally not particularly interesting to drive though. How long does Somerset route take to download once purchased? That'll depend entirely on your speed of your connection, but it is one of the smaller routes to download. Does a cab car have a conductor side? Yeah, there is actually. If you go over the other side, there is another seat there. But effectively, to get over there, you've got to walk out of this cab, all the way down the other end of the carriage, down the stairs, up the other stairs, all the way down the carriage again. I guess you could do some gymnastics over this middle bit, but... Pete, are you enjoying it? Very good. Thank you very much for that kind feedback.
Yes, so we only showed you a little bit of F40 and a little bit of cab car today. There's a lot to explore in this DLC. There's a lot to see.
How many passenger seats in the bi-levels, which you mean these gallery cars? There's quite a few passenger seats in the gallery cars. I couldn't tell you how many because I've no idea, but... What are we working on for the next Train Sim World release? Things with trains in.
Really?
Yeah, for a change.
Please train, don't go back.
Yeah, I am spilling all the secrets tonight. Don't share them, yeah? Secret between you and me or Evie. There is no Train Sim World 2020 disc edition. Certainly not at the moment, George.
No.
You can download it digitally if you buy the digital version. And then I believe you don't need the disc anymore, but... Should we switch over and just do a little 5 minutes on the Union Pacific, just so people can see that?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's just do it now. We've got 8 minutes until the end of the stream, so let's just do a quick blast with the GP38.
I've
Just
not
so
looked
that,
into it, just to be clear.
Sorry?
No, nothing. I've not looked into it too much.
That's fine.
Timetables, let's go. Oh, this looks beautiful though.
If you pick northbound loaded aggregates, will do. Does the stream really have to end? Yes. Otherwise it can't start again at some point in the future.
Which you don't say about life. Alright.
Let's just have a quick fly camera around. And so things like horn positions, light positions, there's lots and lots of little detail changes compared to the previous CSX GP38-2. It's definitely not a reskin. Right,
Hop in.
get underway. So you can see the cab interior is slightly different structure as well. But the controls pretty much the same as what you're used to on things like the F40 as well. There's not a lot of difference there. It's straightforward to drive. So you have to flick on the 3 power controls, headlights on. Let's put the gauge lights on. That's it. Cut your brakes in. That's it. You want freight. That's it.
Gauge lights.
Gauge lights. Release your brakes. So this is manually lap. This is self-lapping brakes. So these ones will apply and release, or apply, sorry, dynamically. You need to put it all the way to release to get it to release, though.
No, I was going to get this thing in first.
Trying to decide whether to get Transpennine Freight add-on or the TPC. Do you mean the Peninsula Corridor, Mr. Average Gamer? I don't know. It depends what content is more interesting to you, really. There's no turbo tracker support at this point. I want to hear the horn. J for some ditch light action. No?
I think I've not turned them on, that's for some reason.
Oh, I think you have to turn the headlights on maximum again to get the ditch lights on.
Really?
There you go.
There you go.
We're using PC, yes, Jordan.
I'm still back here.
It's good to get some armour yellow in the game at last. Who's hyped for the Union Pacific? Unfortunately, I asked a question just as the chat died. Never mind.
Oh no, you can bring it back to life very easily.
I don't know why the frame rate's struggling. It's actually not struggling on the game. Something's going on with OBS. How bizarre.
Check my brakes.
Oh yeah, the brakes are still partially on.
Okay.
There you go.
That's cool, I was just controlling the speed.
The graffiti on the side of the freight cars makes a big difference, doesn't it, Derek? It was so iconic when we were looking at it. All of these freight cars had some form of graffiti on them, so it felt wrong to not put some sort of graffiti on them. TS 2019, when you say path, do you mean Peninsula Corridor? 2020's got different routes in the core. They're not UP wagons, Evie. These are private owner wagons. And in fact, we've labelled them as DTGX, so they're effectively unbranded wagons. Which means you can quite happily get away without having to worry about licensing on them.
It's a perfect opportunity for us to end. Will you be streaming tonight?
I will be streaming tonight, and I'm going to be running more of this.
Wow, look at that. How long do you reckon you'll be streaming
All
for?
night,
All night?
knowing me. I've got a really bad habit of not stopping.
That's cool. Alright, thank you very much, guys, for coming in. And we hope you enjoyed the stream and our newest DLC. Thank you, Matt, for coming in. And thank you to the team
welcome.
for working on it. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, give us some feedback on the forums, folks. Let us know what your problems are, what your solutions for those problems are, if you found them, what you're really enjoying about the route, and if you have any support problems, you need help. Please do make sure you go raise a ticket. People will be there to help you out and get you back up and running again. So do make sure that if you need help, support ticket is the right way to get that help. Discord and forums and things are not how you get prompt help.
How can people find you, Matt, if they want to jump on your stream?
So I'm twitch.tv/Matt Pedalston, MattPeddlesden. So if you just look for twitch.tv/Matt Pedalston, then you can come and log in, and I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, guys. So Train Sim World 2020 is out now officially with Peninsula Corridor. So if you want to grab this, this is the best opportunity right now. There's a 10% discount if you want to buy the route itself, while Train Sim World 2020 as a package includes Mines Bahn, Long Island Railroad, and
Northern Trans-Pennine.
yes, and the GW as well.
Yeah, not forgetting Great Western Express.
And if you're on PC, it also includes Heavy Haul.
Yes.
And this is all available right now for $24.99. Or Digital Deluxe Edition, which also, in addition to all of this, includes Peninsula Corridor, costs $39.99.
Yep.
And so this is basically, if you're a PC user, this is 6 routes, and if you're a console user, it's 5 routes for this price. I think it's the best opportunity to grab the game, in addition to the new update that just came out, and with all these amazing new improvements and features. So thank you very much for coming, and goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.